What is up, Mets fans? Actually, I don't know. Nothing's going right. So maybe we switch it up here. Let James take the intro because sure ain't working over here by me still doing it. So James, I'm gonna defer to you. I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit here. It's your time. Take over the intro for us one time.
Yeah, great. Love that. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Mets'd podcast. The Mets just wrapped up another interesting series out in our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. We're going to talk about it. I don't know what we're going to say about it, but we're going to talk about it because there were still a couple good things that happened, definitely a couple not so good things that happened, and you guys all feel it. Every Mets fan feels right now. This team's in a funk, and we're going to do everything we can to get out of it, starting with me doing the intro of this podcast. So if you're not following us already on social media, at Mets'd, METSDUP, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Maybe we'll start making TikToks again. I don't know. We did that for a week, then we stopped. We got my co-host over here, Mark Luino, Giraffe Neck Mark. Follow him on Twitter, Giraffe Neck Mark. Usually say this at the end, but I don't know what to do for an intro, so I'm just saying it, whatever.
Change it up,
But
yeah.
yeah, I don't know. It was weird also because the series felt like it could have been one that wound up as one of their best ones in the last couple of weeks with a really good win for the Mets on Mother's Day. Offense clicked. Max Scherzer pitched well, and then you come out on Monday, a weird 4 o'clock game, which is just bizarre in its own right. Insane.
Hated it. Hated a 4 o'clock on a Monday. It also just very much screwed up my entire day
Mm-hmm.
because I travel back to New York with my dad in the morning when he goes to work. He leaves for his job in New York at 5:30 in the morning. So I'm up early. I get back. My neighbors are stomping around upstairs with their dog playing fetch. I don't know. It's 6:30 when I get here. I can't go to sleep. So I'm up until 8, and then I need to get 3 or 4 hours of sleep before I actually wake up. Now it's 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. I'm like, the Mets game is about to be on. Got to get my day going. It's just 4 o'clock game on a Monday. Horrible. 4 o'clock on a Saturday. We love it. We love it on a Saturday.
I'll take a 1 o'clock almost every single day. Yeah, 4 o'clock's different days of the week. Even a 4 o'clock on a Friday would be a pretty unique experience depending on what else was going on. But no, weird. Set the whole day off kilter, and then just last year the Mets were so good at closing these series out
Yeah.
when they and like because it's baseball. Like even the best teams in the history of the game, even the best teams that even teams that are you're gonna lose no matter what, just lose like minimum 50, 60 games a year. Just lose them outright. We barely had a chance to win. We lost this game. And it seemed like last year, while the Mets always, like every other team in baseball, has one of those every series, you always found a way for the other two to be those good games, those hard fought games. You're in position to win. You're getting your hits here and there. You got a good start. Like bullpen comes in, keeps it tight, and it's just I feel like those are the games that are just happening less and less this year, and it's just wearing on this team week after week.
Oh, I mean, everybody looks and feels tight. The vibes don't feel good. The vibes feel really, really bad. There's a lot. There was a lot of outside of the Mother's Day win. There were some good vibes. I will say that for sure. We got the new slap ass celebration where they get on second base and they give themselves a little slap on the butt there. But there's a lot of looks of frustration, a lot of looks of just almost what do we do? There looks like a lot of just I don't want to say confusion, but almost a little lost, I think is the way of looking at it. Just I don't know what's wrong. I don't know how to fix it. I don't know what we need to do, but this sucks. It looks like everyone's a little down, honestly.
Yeah, and there's also because you do get this team does still get to those points where it's all right, here's gonna be the big hit. Even going through this game on Monday against Patrick Corbin, there were guys on base every single inning. The Mets were hitting the ball hard most at bats. There were 8 hits, there were 9 guys on base in the first 6 innings. Usually you get all guys on base every single inning. Eventually you're gonna string enough together to get a guy home. And it's just this one finds a glove and that one hangs up too long and that one sits on the warning track. How many balls sat on the warning track this series? It was crazy. If we had a
Unbelievable.
little more
Tommy
humidity,
Pham.
but yeah, Tommy Pham, Jeff McNeil, Brandon Nimmo, all these at bats, the ball to the warning track, and even Guillorme to end the game. It's just where's that big break going to come? This team has been so adept this year, getting 11 hits and 3 runs, and it's just wow, this is just not how it's supposed to go.
No, and I know a few episodes we had talked about the offense. I mean, we knew that the pitching has relatively been the problem. I think that's safe to say is that the pitching hadn't been able to step up very much for us when we needed them, especially back into the rotation. Just haven't gotten a lot of length, haven't gotten a lot of innings, haven't gotten a lot of great performances. But the last few series now to the offense has been getting a little stale, has been getting a little cold. Like you said, they still get the hits. They still don't strike out. They still get on base, but the ability to actually manufacture runs, which is something that is super important. I know RISP is relatively speaking luck. I know that's the way that the outside likes to look at the analytics. It's runners in scoring position in theory is no different than when there are guys on base. But there is definitely something happening when guys get in scoring position right now with the New York Mets because they are, I mean, they just can't do it. They can't bring in these guys.
And it's also the fact that they keep having these innings where it happened a few times in the suspended game that was resumed on Sunday, which we'll also touch on later on because that was a crazy situation. Just situations like external of baseball are getting so lost because of just how crazy the baseball on the field has been. But where you get like a multiple hits in an inning and find like and not score a run, like
Mhm.
somebody gets thrown at home, or you had three singles that all were hit hard, fell right in front of outfielders, an infield single when there was already like first and third or something, like in front of the catcher, and like it's just like all these little things keep happening over and over again. So the runs are not scoring. Just so many singles with a guy in second that's just hit like on one hopper, and it's like, well,
Yep.
he didn't come in. Well, all right, try again next time, and then one really untimely strikeout, and the whole inning is a botch.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the total runs scored by the Mets this year, I don't think that counted necessarily today's game. It's at 41 on Fangraphs right now. Mets are 22nd out of 30 in baseball. Obviously, not great. Definitely need to be a little bit higher. But then, like, you see some weird teams around them. And I'm just going to give you a couple names and a couple stats as well. You see the Houston Astros at 171, same amount of runs scored as the Mets. That's a team you wouldn't say has bad offense. I'm not trying to be apologetic here for the Mets offense. I think they have been struggling. I don't think they've been playing their best, especially in this series. We saw it. But then you see the Padres at 161. Yeah, that's another team you probably wouldn't say has a bad offense. You see the Phillies at 173. I don't like the Phillies, but I know that they can swing it. And even the Giants, who I think have the most home runs in Major League Baseball at 173, which is bizarre. Like, I don't, it's everyone I feel like is calling for Mauricio and Vientos to be called up. I think that's the thing that everybody on social media is asking for. A lot of Met fans, probably that you are listening to this podcast right now, are probably like, where Mauricio, where's Vientos? Those guys are tearing it up. I truthfully, like, one, a lot of pressure to put on these kids to come up and be the answer. And I don't think that's the way to handle it for guys who Vientos we saw struggled last year at the major league level, and Ronnie Mauricio, who has never played at the major league level. That's a lot of pressure to put on these guys who have zero experience. But in the same regards, like, I don't disagree. The guys are tearing it up. It would be cool to see if they can bring some spark a little bit to this offense because me and you both believe that these guys can swing it, no doubt. It's just like that shouldn't be the answer. The real answer is everybody as a whole on the team simply just has to be better. Has to be better no matter what it is. Gary even brought it up, the crazy historical way that the Mets are playing right now with Lindor and Pete Alonso, how both are hitting under 250 right now, but both have 30 RBIs through the first 42 games, which has never happened in Major League Baseball history. I don't know what's going on, but the Mets are finding a way to manufacture runs from the guys that are supposed to do it, but then that's kind of it.
It just doesn't feel cohesive. Like last year when
No.
the offense was clicking, it felt very cohesive. And like Lindor and Peter, like they're near the top of the league in RBIs. Like I think they're second and third in the National League behind just simply Sean Murphy, which is such salt in this whole entire
Ugh.
wound. But it's I don't know. It's weird. Like you watch the game, and it's like again, like here's the big hit, there's the big hit, here's the big hit, and it just hasn't really come, and it's
No.
frustrating. Frustrating to watch the team day in day out. It felt like they really got something off their backs on Sunday. They broke out that celebration. It seemed like people are having a good time. The vibes are right. Lots of singles over and over again. It was still just like that. Like deep down, I was like, all right, this other thing is still not there, and that's like the big blast or the big nice rope down the line, or just one of those.
Yeah, I don't think the Mets had a home run in this series, if I was correct, right? Against the Nationals.
Wow, that is crazy to think about.
I
Even
think it's
today, the Mets only scored 3 runs. They only struck out 2 times as a team.
Yeah, I think it's actually been 5 games in a row now the Mets have not hit a home run, which
Oh my
I
god.
mean, we need the long ball. We desperately need the long ball, and it can't just come from Pete and Lindor. Like they do a fine job. Lindor's an extra base hit king this year. We know that he's allergic to singles right now. All he does is get extra base hits, and Pete has what? Like he's tied for the lead in home runs, I think, in Major League Baseball right now. No, he has the lead. He has 13. Nobody else has as many as Pete Alonso, but we're not getting power from really anywhere else. But then, like, you have Brandon Nimmo, who's got like low key having one of the best seasons, if not the best season of his career, hitting like 330 with an 880 OPS. Jeff McNeil's been swinging the bat a little bit better. I know his average is a little bit down. Mark Hanna had a big game on Sunday. Like, it feels like guys are starting to hit the ball better, more consistently. But like you said, still just missing that big hit. It's just I legitimately, and I don't know if this is even me asking you guys at home, but like I don't know what the answer is. I really don't know. Besides just play better and get bigger hits, is that really as simple as it is?
I mean, kind of. I feel like I don't know people might be screaming at me in their cars right now or in their headphones. Like I said it all year. I'm just going to keep holding pat with it. I still just feel like the offense is going to positively regress. Like There's just
Has
like
to.
as little as the Mets have got out of some hitters who have like proven track records of at least being average hitters for extended periods of time, like being well below it. Like those guys will get better. Like Starling Marte is now on a 5 game hitting streak all of a sudden. Like I feel like
He's hitting the ball hard.
he's just going to get hot because he's been in the league a very long time. This is what he's going to do. He's going to wind up the season at a spot where we usually expect him to be. Like again, Lindor is not like giving us like what he gave us last year, but he's still been above average hitter. Pete has lots of home runs, lots of run producing hits. Like Canada's going to get back on base. Like Alvarez and Beatty. Beatty's been a little cold streak. We had two nice pieces of hitting on Sunday. I saw two nice hits, and one on the outside he drove the other way. One he pulled the inside and like to right field. And it was like, all right, like these guys are there's going to be enough positive aggression in the offense to get this to where it has to be. It's just it's hard in a series like this and a team like this where you don't get as much consistent pitching. It makes it really difficult to win. And like you see the games that the Mets like won this series, like they got good performance out of starting pitchers. Like Tyler McGill, it was as Tyler McGill starts have been this year, where it's like strikeouts, not many strikeouts, too many walks, guys on base every inning, but he just like guts out five, keeps him to like 1, 2, 3, or 4. You're like, all right, let's score enough runs, win the game. Max Scherzer looked very good. His fastball had much more life on Sunday during Mother's Day. It's hard right now, and it's hard. It's really hard. It's really hard. It's really hard.
At the absolute worst right now, we need our pitchers to keep it close. And like you said, Tyler McGill, at least for us, like while that wasn't his best performance, he very much kept it close. Like you're not wrong. He did gut it out a little bit while we're at the Knicks game in Miami, which is a whole nother story. But I mean, it was encouraging to see Scherzer pitch as well as he did, especially coming off of the weird year that he's had. If we're going to take a positive out of there, I was happy to see him pitch like that. Would have been nice to see David Pearson get back on the horse though. But I mean, it feels like he needs some time. He needs some time to just like not play in important games. The mechanics, like we've said, from what we've seen, not that we're pitching experts by any means, but the mechanics are just all over the place for a guy who's so large. It's hard to repeat your mechanics to begin with anyway. Just need him to almost even just build up the confidence again. I'm sure he's a little bit lost too of like, man, what can I do? What can I do better? Because you've been looking at the numbers too. Like the stuff isn't bad. It's just not working. He's just ineffective.
His four-seam fastball, which is being hit significantly harder this year than it was last year, is giving up harder hit balls. They're being hit more consistently. They're being it's worse. Like it's being swung at less when it's outside of the zone. His stuff plus is much worse this year compared to last year. It has a different movement profile, has much less arm side run and a little bit less vertical rise. And it's like, I don't know, there's something wrong with it. And you look at like his release points of it this year and last year. I'm gonna put this in you guys to see on YouTube channel. It is perfect. It was much more consistent last year. It's coming at the same spot, like 11 o'clock out of his hand, like most all times. And this year you look at it, and it's a little bit more varied. It's a little bit mixed between 11 and 12. He's like sometimes he's more on top of it, sometimes he's not. But it's something that's a little different that wasn't this way last year because it looked like his slider as well. His slider last year was a little more repeatable, kind of when he broke it off. It was a little more between like 4 and 5 o'clock. It wasn't perfect, but it was pitch that was good. The slider still hasn't necessarily been bad this year, but this year you can see that it's very varied all around the clock where he's releasing that ball, and it's like there's some lack of comfortability right now. And then you look at some of the I don't know, maybe it's like just some other stats around these pitches. Like last year, he was throwing that four seam fastball in the zone 56% of the time. This year's below 40% of the time. Last year, he was throwing that slider in the zone 38% of the time. This year, it's over 47% of the time. His sinker last year was in the zone only 44% of the time. This year, it's 54% of the time. So just a lot of things have moved around here, and it's making these pitches kind of just behave in a little different ways, and the hitters have a little bit better of a read on them. They're in the heart of the zone more. They're not being chased as much, even though they're still being chased plenty, which is also the most annoying part about it. But it's just still finding a way to leave one over the middle and let it get hit hard enough to keep an inning alive and not be able to get off the mound, not be able to finish those innings the way he seemed like he made real strides to do it last year. And you watch him week in, week out, you're like, this guy just needs, I don't know what he needs. It really felt like it took a step last year. I was really excited about him personally.
Me too.
I think we even dubbed him like one of the most important players on this team. And then when you look at the way this season has unfolded right now, yeah, it's just like that is you need a difference maker.
I don't know. We weren't wrong by saying he's probably one of the most important guys. Because imagine if David Peterson was having a good year, we might be talking a lot differently right now.
No, yeah, probably multiple more wins. It's like people. I don't want to make him out. I don't know. People are getting really, really mad at him online, and it's definitely not. I don't know, like getting multiple DMs, people being like, "Is it time to like do like get rid of him?" It's like absolutely not. There's no possible way. But it's also like you watch these results and you're like, he needs something. And they tried to give him the break in AAA, and it's just the depth is being tested so harshly right now that needed him back. And we need innings. And he's at least giving innings.
Yeah, we desperately we could talk all we want about Monday about, we talked about the offense briefly already. Like they didn't score enough runs, 11 hits, 2 runs or 3 runs, whatever it was today. But really, at the end of the day, the Mets gave up what 8 today, and the starting pitcher gave up 5, 6, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not good enough. And you look at the Mets starting pitching numbers across the board. They have the second worst starting rotation performance wise in baseball this year. There's no way around it. Like not even gonna sugarcoat it. The Rockies, Royals, Red Sox are all higher. Even the Cardinals, who we joke about as having just such a god awful rotation, all have better numbers right now. And I think part of it is we haven't had a lot of Scherzer, we haven't had a lot of Verlander, and we're seeing Kodai Senga still build into the pitcher that he is. But me and you were talking right before we started the podcast. We feel very comfortable with those 3 right now. Like those
Yeah.
guys seem good. Like if there's anything for us Mets fans to hold our hat on, I think it's going to be that those 3 will be okay. And Verlander, I think, is going to be very good. He looks very solid. But we are missing that 4-5, and it's very, very important to have those last 2 guys because it lengthens the bullpen. You don't have to use a guy like Tommy Hunter as much or a Dominic Leone. You can go to the David Robertson, Drew Smith more consistently because the pitchers are going deeper and deeper into the games. I mean, not to rub salt in the wound again, but like, look at how the 2015 Royals were built. Look at how they were built. That's the exact kind of pitching that you want in a way, where your starters are going to go 6, 7 innings, and then you can hand it off to the 3-headed monster in the bullpen of Kelvin Herrera, Greg
Why?
Holland, Wade
Why,
Davis.
why in the world was that like the analogy and the comparison you picked? I'm not
Because
trying to build a
because
pitching staff after the 2015
no,
Royals.
no,
Like let's
but
see patch it together with miracles.
to be fair, that 2015 pitching staff did actually pitch really well. Like Edinson Volquez and Johnny Cueto
Yeah,
were like very
they
much
had
still
to
in their
do.
prime during those years in 2015. Like they got good performances. We need to make sure that we have starting pitching length. That's where I was going with this because we do have 3 really good relievers out in the bullpen who need to get the ball more consistently for us to be able to be even more effective. And I think they would love to pitch more too, but they just haven't really been given the opportunity because there haven't been a lot of close games either way.
Yeah, and I mean the wins are close. Isn't there a stat right now the Mets haven't won a game by more than 2 runs? Oh no,
Oh
they
yeah,
Sunday, of course, Sunday. What do I mean? They blew it out on Sunday. Yeah,
but
they
like
got.
yeah,
I felt like they got that monkey off their back. But I talk about the stat strikeout minus walk rate a lot in the show. It's really indicative of pitcher success. Starting pitchers is really good. Reliever, it's pretty good relievers too. But Mets have the third lowest of all starting pitchers in all of the league right now. Worse than the Royals, worse than the Cardinals, worse than Nationals. Only better than the Oakland Athletics and the Colorado Rockies.
yeah, like
And that's hard. Like that's disheartening coming from after a year where the starting pitching was so good, game after game. It was like week after week, 6 innings, 5 innings, 6 innings, and then again, like I feel like it's kind of getting lost in the fold. This bullpen actually has been quite good this year.
yes,
It's been a real linchpin of this team. Shout out Jeff Brigham for another solid weekend. David Robertson, like at least that is something that we can really hang our hats
Drew
on.
Drew
Yeah,
Chains,
Drew Chain's been
Ottavino, like
amazing.
the guys who we expected to be the big innings, get the big outs. They've done everything that we need and more.
Yeah, and that it is a problem. It has become still one of the strengths of this team. It's hard to get that there. And the other thing is just mention his workload. Like the Mets starting pitchers have thrown the 3rd fewest innings in all of baseball, and a huge part of that is because Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer threw like 25 combined innings in the first month of the year. If they're even 20, maybe any team in baseball, you take their 1 and 2 pitchers off the team
Yes,
for a full month, the pitching is going to really struggle for a month. There's no doubt about that. So again, this isn't like all totally like the doom and gloom because right now we actually have those 2 guys in, and we're all going to feel a difference over these next few weeks with 2 very good pitchers like making up 40% of the games that you play. Like that's a good thing, and that's going to help this team keep it moving. Like when we're going into the season, like we were all confident about the entire Mets team as a whole. But we said if you would ask someone what's like the strongest aspect about this team, what's the most important thing about it, it would be the fact that they have 2 horses in front of the rotation, and those guys are going to keep things moving every single week, and that's a huge thing. And we haven't had that yet, and now we're going to start to have that. And some of those games are going to feel a little bit better, but overall, it's kind of harrowing to see how rough this starting in rotation has gone compared to the rest of the league. The only starting rotations that have thrown less innings are the Rockies and the Reds and the Rays. But the Rays don't really count because the Rays use an opener once, if not twice, every single week. So you and that's only 4 less innings. And once or twice a week, the Reds are saying we purposely want our starting pitcher to throw maximum 2 innings. And then the Mets still only have 4 more starting pitcher innings than them. It's rough. It's really rough out here. And I don't know. I just don't know.
yeah, no, I mean, like truthfully, a little speechless because it's just like I don't believe that this is a bad team. I don't believe this is a team that's a 500 team based on the quality of players that we have. Like, especially on the offensive side, they have good players for sure. There's no doubt. And on the pitching side, like you said, we had been missing 2 of our horses without a doubt. Do that to any team, they're going to struggle. I mean, look at the Brewers. They lost Brandon Woodruff and their season has gone downhill a little bit. That's one of their horses. Like it affects you mightily. So like, no, I don't think this team is bad. by any means. They should not be under 500 like they are. And I think every single person in the organization will tell you that. This is not what they expected. But at the same time, like something's got to change, right? Because whatever has been happening has not been working. So
Mhm.
now, we're 40, 42 games into the season, whatever it is, the adjustments need to start being made to improve upon the play because, like you said, now we have our two starting pitchers that are going to be our horses, give us innings. Beautiful, perfect. Now we have 2 days, hopefully a week that we can rely on those. Lindor and Peter still driving in runs. Brandon Nimmo still getting on base. Starting Marte swinging the bat better. Alvarez has looked fantastic. McNeil's starting to swing the bat better too. Like there's the pieces there. Even Vogelback, a guy who a lot of Mets fans kind of make him a little bit of the scapegoat here a lot of times for the offense, it feels like. But he's been great this year. Like, yeah, the power has not been there. There's no doubt. Need a little bit more power at him. But he's been getting on base like crazy, and he's still rocking like a 130 WRC plus. So like there's stuff coming, but I'm with you guys. Like when's it going to happen? I think that's what we're waiting for. Is like when is it all going to start to come together? Going back to what you said at the beginning, James, just it doesn't feel cohesive right now, and
No,
that's
it
a
does.
weird thing to say about baseball because it really is such an individual sport. But right now, it feels like we're lacking the team aspect of it, of like everybody's clicking at the same time.
It's also a little bit less of an individual sport for a team like the Mets, just simply because they need more guys doing things on a consistent basis to
Correct.
score enough runs to be able to win the
That's
game. And that's
that's actually really well put. I think I
thanks.
really like that. I really like that because I mean, baseball is an individual sport, and there's so much talk about three true outcomes in baseball. Like even with the shift now being taken away, right? In theory, everyone brings up like you have the Giants who are a real three true outcome team. The Red Sox, like a lot of these good offenses per se. Um, but the Mets, because they don't really do the three true outcome because they kind of lack that home run extra base hit kind of thing going on. You're right.
Mhm.
The individual game becomes a lot more team oriented because it's not just on one guy to drive in the run. You need two or three hits now to get in that run, or two or three guys on base to get that run in.
And again, there were a lot of innings this series and this entire season where you somehow have 2 or even 3 hits inside of an inning and you don't score a run. And
Yeah.
that's kind of demoralizing day after day, especially when again we're like what 11 out of 13 games where your opponent has scored. No, I think it's 7 out of 9 games where our opponent has scored the run in the not even first in the first inning.
Yeah.
And we talked about as like the mentality of that is just excruciating. Like it to be down 1-0 every single game off the bat. It's like, oh my god, this is brutal.
It's tough. It's really tough playing from behind like that every single game. Just again, like we've been saying it a lot, but like just simply have to play better. Everyone's got to play better. I don't think one person is to blame for what's been going on, and I don't think any one person is to say they've been saving the season by any means. It's just as a team, as a whole, the Mets they got to regroup, get out of Washington, come back to New York, get ready to play the Rays, who is it's not going to be an easy series. It's the best team in
Nope.
baseball. It's the
Yep.
best team in baseball. So I don't. Maybe this is what wakes them up a little bit too, right? Maybe like the fact that the Rays are coming into town. They're the hot stuff in Major League Baseball. This is a team that's gonna look to just absolutely smack them around. Maybe this is like, all right, we get a little bit of the juices going again, playing in what feels more like a playoff atmosphere. I'm doing like big quotation marks here,
I
but
don't know.
just like maybe that's the spark that they need is like a team that they kind of put a target on their back rather than them being the team with the target on theirs. Because this past month, there's been a lot of teams that they're supposed to be better than that they have not beat.
And I just did some quick math here. The Mets also just it's so funny. It's just so emblematic of the way the season is going. The Mets in this series struck out in the games 5, 7, 9, and 2 times. So the game where the Mets offense was the best was their game where they struck out the most. But for 4 games, they only struck out 23 times, which is unbelievable. That hurt me a lot because I guessed 68 last week and you guessed 60. Well, the National struck out 31 times in the series. So
Yeah.
that's a clean 54. That's a 54 strikeouts in 4 games between 2 teams. That is a ridiculous number. But hey, hats off to you. He's now taking the lead, 6-5 lead in estimate, which I haven't been behind an estimate very often over the last year. So
No.
this is definitely a new experience. But what does John have for us this week?
Hey, we're missing John again. He's out in Boston doing some stuff. I don't know, Fenway Park, I
I,
guess.
I don't know. Who knows?
John, we know he doesn't listen to us. So what's gonna be our code word for this episode, James? We got one to see if he listens.
Yeah, kumquat.
Kumquat. All right, John. If you hear kumquat, shoot us a text. But I don't think you're going to. So
Yeah, if anyone
let's
knows a John around the ballpark, hey John, kumquat.
Yeah, just shout it at him. Shout it at
Yeah.
him. But he said total innings pitched by any relievers in the series, and part of the reason was because the Tampa Bay Rays love to use the bullpen and they love a good opener, including for the first game of the series with Jalen Beeks going on the mound. Right?
Yeah, something like that. I don't. I'm looking at the matchups right now. What
So
is
yeah,
it?
so we would have to
It's so disheveled
predict.
by the Mets, so it's just like, oh,
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah, disheveled is a good word. Disheveled is a good way to
disheveled.
explain how I'm feeling right now.
Yeah, they got right now on the schedule is Chirinos, Fleming, and there's an opening on Wednesday. But is that could be Taj Bradley coming back up to the bigs?
Yeah, but
Oh wow.
Beeks is starting tomorrow. They're opening with Beeks.
Yeah, then I'm seeing no, or then so it's gonna be a Beaks Chirinos mix, and then
Yeah, I
probably
guess.
another thing on Thursday with Fleming. But also the Rays pitching is coming to the series also pretty tired. Like they've signed multiple guys off the scrap heap this year. They've rotated through a lot of guys in their minor leagues. Like they're really reeling right now in terms of pitching depth, and it's because they just lost Drew Rasmussen possibly for the rest of the year. Which I guess we're doing the preview now instead of doing the estimate. But I guess I'll explain this after. Just let's
Yeah,
do
let's
this.
just pick a number real quick.
How many pitches by
By both
relievers?
teams.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I got to do some quick math in my head.
Yeah,
I'm going to go. There's a 3-game series, right?
yeah.
Man, I'm going to say. Okay, I got my number.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got it.
Number.
And you know what? I'm really hoping that a lot of these innings are by the Rays. I'd love nothing more than I'd love to see a complete game by a Mets pitcher.
Oh
Whew,
my god!
that'd get me going.
Wait, so this is like we're kind of thinking out of. I'm getting so confused right now. Out of 54 innings is going to be in this series. Like how many are going to be pitched by relievers?
Yeah.
All
No.
right, yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah. I got
54,
my
that's
number.
correct. I hate my number now. Now that you said 54, I hate my number.
We got it. We got it.
All right.
I kind of hate mine too.
I'm going with it. Ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1. Show it. I've got 21
Oh,
and 20. Wow. All right. So
Mar-
Mark, me, 21. James,
20.
20.
And I wrote mine on a post-it note on my childhood desk in my parents' house in Westfield. Mark wrote his on a piece of cardboard with what looks like a marker.
Yes, with a dry erase marker. I've got look at all the estimates that are on this one here. It's just, I don't have paper
That's so
around.
funny.
I don't really have, I don't,
Yeah,
what am
you
I going
don't.
to have paper for?
Yeah, you don't write. You're not one who writes.
I'm a digital man. Paper is analog.
I'm a digital man.
That's for 45-year-old John Barry.
Yeah, John's analog.
How much paper you think John has in his house?
Oh, piles of it everywhere.
Tons of paper.
John probably keeps files on deck.
Oh, he's definitely got a file bin, right? File cabinet.
Oh, definitely. Maybe. Oh, but he did just move. Usually, when you move, you get rid of stuff
Ooh.
like that. But I could definitely see John being the one who's like bringing 3 boxes of papers he's never going to touch again.
Big manila envelopes.
Yeah.
I can imagine he's got a lot of manila envelopes in his office, wherever it is. But yeah, that is the estimate. I've taken the lead, which is nice. But 6-5. Would like to get a little more of a lead on James here. I think we've also decided that the first half punishment, we're going full jersey to the game, right? That's finished. We're just deciding that.
I think unless someone in the next until 1 month, till June 15th, if we can't get a better punishment from somebody before June 15th, and I've got a bunch in my inbox right now, so if you guys can think of any, or just tweet them at us at Mets'd or just at one of us, any good punishment for the estimate. But right now, wearing the full kit is totally in the lead. Click clack cleats, eye black baby.
Eye black's going on. The eye black's going on. So let's go ahead and talk about that Rays series. This is a team that is near and dear to our hearts.
Yes, Rays
definitely.
up.
I was at the 2020 World Series during the COVID year to root on the Rays. Of course, I brought my bad luck, which is just, I'm sorry, Rays fans, for that one. Do love the Rays, love the Mets a lot more, obviously, still my favorite team. But boy, oh boy, do you just got to respect what that team and organization does year in and year out. They're amazing. They're amazing. There's just simply no way to put it. And this team is really, really good. And it's not going to be an easy series.
No, the Rays are incredible. And it's kind of funny because I feel like most of what the Rays have gotten their allure for and like become famous for over the last few years is having like the pitching magic or the pitching science or the pitching laboratory. But if you look at the Rays up and down right now, they are pound for pound probably the best offensive team in all of baseball. They hit the ball hard. They hit a lot of home runs. They make a lot of good contact to keep the ball in the air. They barrel the baseball. It's all just everything the Rays do is amazing. The Rays have hit 81 home runs this year. The team with the next most is the Dodgers with 68.
Dude, have you seen their WRC plus compared to everyone else on the season?
I'm looking at 141.
141. The next highest is 117. They have a 25-point cushion. They're 25% better than the second best offense in baseball. Yeah, they're unbelievable. I mean, every organization should strive to get the production that the Rays do.
And even with that, the Rays are 4th in the league with stolen bases at 39. They are, as it lows right now, they are kind of towards the back end, like middle of the pack in strikeout rate, 19th highest strikeout rate in all of baseball. Like they are doing things the offensive side of the ball right now that is kind of unquestionably some of the best in the league. And that starts at the top of their order with Yandy Diaz, Randy Rosarena, and Wander Franco. Right now, probably the best three-headed monster in the entire show. What these guys have done this season so far is ridiculous. Wander Franco, we like to call him something off air that I don't think I'm going to say on the show, but he's like the saving grace of baseball. He is what
You're not going to call him it?
I don't think you think you got whatever. I'll just say it. If
Yeah.
if you don't like it, cut it out. Wander Franco's baseball Jesus.
Yeah.
Wander Franco is what 20, even he's the right age of maybe 21 or even 22 right now. He hits the ball hard. He's like from last year to this year, he's made such incredible strides as a baseball player. First of all, statistically, he's the best minor league player basically ever in terms of his power production, his strikeout rate, how much better he was in league average, especially when you weight that for how young he was at every single level. At 20 years old in AAA, Wander Franco, the 150 WRC plus with 12% strikeouts, 8% walks, 313, 372, 583 slash. That was all the way back in 2021 AAA, and he got called up that year. And he's been a good player when he got called up. Like even when he came up, people were kind of giving him a little crap for playing 70 games and only hitting 70 home runs with a 290 batting average, a 20-year-old in major leagues, being like, oh, this guy doesn't have the star potential everyone said he was, and he was the best prospect ever. And the Rays saw it was enough to give him what? Over $150 million off that.
The biggest contract they've ever given by a large margin.
$182 million of guaranteed money to Wander Franco, who also is so sure of himself and his talent and what he is in the league that he has the Major League Baseball logo tattooed on his neck. You guys should take a look at it. Javi Baez has it too, but Javi Baez has it kind of as like a barcode in the back of his neck. Wander Franco has it right here, right where Vladimir Gutierrez has the spider web. He is like, I am Major League Baseball. That is why he is baseball Jesus. But right now, he has 7 home runs in just 40 games this year. On pace for almost 30 of them. 12 stolen bases to go along with that with a 300 batting average. He is unbelievably just so good at baseball. Like, and even in the field, like everyone saw that viral highlight of him 2 weeks ago where he got the ball at second base. It looked like kind of came up on him a little bit. Didn't grab it right. So he tossed it in the air, gave a spin, and took a crow hop and just gunned the guy out at first. Like he can do anything. And then you bring it back to Randy Rosarena, who's become one of the most clutch like figures in the league over the last couple of years. 10 homers already in 40 games, like the biggest power output of his career so far. 320 average, 171 WRC plus. He right now is having the same offensive output as Ronald Acuna. And then you have Yandy Diaz, who's like year after year gets a little bit better, hits the ball super hard. Now is putting it in the air. Like this team, they're really good. And then Josh Lowe, Brandon Lau, Isaac Paredes is hitting well. Like they have this Taylor Walls right now is hitting as well as Yordan Alvarez in terms of power production. Like they're I don't know what they do. I don't know how they do it. All these guys are ridiculous freaks right now, and it's definitely a minefield to get through this batting order, and it really starts with those guys at the top.
Yeah, they just brought in Jake Diekman as well to add to that bullpen, who's filthy, who's nasty. They just have a really good team. Their record is what? They're 31-11, which is pretty good. It's a pretty good record, I would say, through the first 42 games of the year. Their playoff odds are 99.9% right now. They're making the playoffs. Like if you watch this team, they're very good. Listen, it's going to be really tough. It's going to be really tough. The Mets, like we're struggling with the Nationals. We're struggling with the Tigers. Like there's no hiding it. If you want to beat the Rays, we're going to have to play perfect baseball. We're going to have to play perfect baseball. We're going to have to really hope that the Mets team from the beginning of 2022 shows up, because that 2022 Mets team can put up a fight with this Rays team and beat them for sure. But the baseball that we have been playing can't happen.
Even the Mets, as of a month ago, the Mets took a series from the Dodgers, who have the best record in the National League. Like this is not like this team is not incapable of success.
No.
Like Justin Verlander is pitching on Tuesday, Kodai Sang is pitching on Wednesday, Tyler McGill versus Josh Fleming in a matinee on Thursday. Like you can again, the Rays team has not. Again, we're kind of harping on the hitting right now because Rays team has struggled pitching wise for a little bit. That's mostly because of durability. Drew Rasmussen was having a massive breakout year. Looked like a potential Cy Young candidate. He went on the IL with a flexor. It was a flexor strain, right? A flexor tendon strain.
Yeah.
Friday afternoon out of nowhere. Jeffrey Springs broke out of the gates looking like an impact starter. He's getting Tommy John surgery. We're missing Shane McClanahan, and who's been incredible, completely lights out, and Zach Eflin in the series, who's been incredibly consistent and a guy that I've always just dreamed on. Zach Eflin. Oh my God. Zach Eflin's so good, man. Zach Eflin twice in his career now has made these massive jumps where first he didn't have the use of his knees for the first for most of his life, first 20 something years of his life. Got double knee surgery, got the use of his knees, started following through, got 3 miles an hour out of nowhere after already being a professional baseball player. And then he got to leave the Phillies and go to a team like the Rays, who are pitching geniuses, and can tell him exactly how to sequence, exactly how to get the most out of every single pitch. And now he looks awesome. Started in, started out. He's great. He's giving consistent innings. They literally gave him the most money they've ever given a pitcher in the history of their franchise. Just literally. And like, we know he's not spectacular. Like, I gush about these pitchers that you guys know are not spectacular. I gush about them because like what they are and like what they can do for a team. And the fact that he's out there every 5 days just being like, I'm going to give you innings to hold this glue together while we can mix in openers and 3-inning guys and 5-inning guys and all this crazy stuff with McClanahan at the top and supposedly, Springs and Rasmussen, but they're also going to get Tyler Glass out back soon. Taj Bradley might come up and pitch a game in this series. God bless you.
Thank you.
And I don't know. There's just a lot. You got to buckle down. We're missing those two guys. And right now, their bullpen is kind of a lot of guys who've been thrown together. Jake Diekman, they just called off the street. They just cut Javi Guerra, who had great stuff this year. He looked like really good in his spurts. Peter Fairbanks not pitching right now. Yeah, great highlight from Jason Adam over the weekend. Thought he gave up a game-winning home run to Aaron Judge that got caught at the warning track. But Jalen Beeks, like Josh Fleming, like Yanni Chirinos, like you can hit these guys. Like if you're gonna beat the Reds this week, let's go score with them. Let's go have some fun.
100%. We're gonna need some good baseball, and I mean, they're capable. They're so capable of playing good baseball. That's, I think, where we probably get the most frustrated as Mets fans is we know that this team should not be playing as poorly as they are. They're not living up to expectations. I think that's where the frustration comes from. Just really hope it turns around soon. I think it can. The schedule's not going to get any easier than it just was, though, unfortunately. So it's got to happen sooner than later, and hopefully it does soon. I don't know. I got nothing else to say, James. Do you?
I got nothing else to say.
You want to take the outro too this time?
I'll take the outro, might as well. Hey, if you guys like what you're listening tonight, you got to follow us at Mets'd, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Almost forgot that one. If you want the YouTube channel, check it out on the Mets official YouTube channel. If you want to watch the YouTube video, check out the Mets official YouTube channel. What else do you usually say in the outro? Follow me on Twitter at James_Shiano. Follow Mark at
Giraffe Neck Mark with a C.
There you go. And I mean, hey, I guess that's it. Like, keep your head up, guys. It's gonna be beautiful weather these next couple of days. Like, head to the ballpark. It's gonna be beautiful out there. See Justin Verlander make his Mets debut. Watch Wander Franco, aka Baseball Jesus, up close and personal because he's a marvel. Randy Rosarena is pretty fun. We gotta get hot sometime. It's gonna happen. That's it. Start feeling good.
Yeah, start feeling good. We need some positive vibes here, and hopefully the Mets turn around sooner than later. That would be really nice, especially for us on the podcast. Love to be positive. Have a great episode for you guys. But thank you so much for listening. Thank you for watching whatever you did. We'll catch you guys after the Rays series for the Mets Podcast. Peace out.